You're listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the hard biblical questions because we dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
See the light. I want to see the light.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Give God 90. My name is Jerry Mitchell. Sitting next to me, as usual here lately, is the reason Dynamite comes in small packages, the lovely Myra.
Hello, everyone.
We certainly do thank you for letting us be part of your day. If you want to, and I hope you do, you can choose to download the Give God 90 app. It's absolutely free. It gives you all kinds of access to the way we do things here. You can certainly come in and comment on things directly from your mobile device if you have that. If you're sitting at a desktop or a laptop and you're listening that way, of course you can always use the Spreaker link, and it works very, very well for that. If you choose to comment from a different platform, whether it's Apple or Google or Spotify or one of the other podcast platforms, and you leave a comment, it usually takes a little longer because they have to process it. They have to send me the notification that you actually commented on it, and then it comes to me, and it takes a little bit longer for that to happen because it's got to go through the email process. So we have all that. Before I get into what I want to talk about today, I came across something earlier. I actually posted it on my personal MeWe page. The local, I shouldn't say it that way. There is a local church, okay, who is on February 13th having a very special program. They're hosting a celebration for Darwin Day. Now, anybody who has listened to me for any period of time knows that I don't agree with evolution.
Right.
You know, there are things that adapt. Our language, because of the usage of it, has a tendency to evolve into different things. You can't explain it any other way than it changes, but it doesn't always add information, which is what evolution is it loses information. So, you know, and I always pick on the word cool in English because it's just the one that it is becoming the most used. You know, years ago it meant it was chilly or cool to the touch. It dealt with temperature. But today, if you say something's cool, it can be neat. Now, you'd think that that would be an increase of information, but what it actually is it has evolved to not increase information, but change definition. Right?
Right.
So, but where I'm going with this is if you, and if this offends you, be offended and know why you're offended. If you're going to a church that celebrates Darwin Day or teaches evolution, you're probably not going to a church that is biblically, or that has a biblical foundation. We're just going to say it that way. If you don't have a biblical foundation in your church, you might want to think about changing churches. Okay? It's that simple. Evolution has no place next to creation. I have said this a lot and often. We talked about this the other night. People that look at evolution and believe evolution, you know, I came from this explosion of nothing that eventually evolved into pond scum, that eventually evolved into me. They have no hope, they have no joy, they have no future. Because when they're dead, and that's all you get, right? So, yeah, it irritates me greatly when I look at something like that and see it and think, they know better than this. Really? They should know better than this, but they don't. And it's kind of sad. So beware of those kind of things. You know, it's out there, and it's one more of those things that tend to shoot cannonballs at the foundation of your faith. And that's not, don't shoot your foundation out from under yourself. You wind up in a hole, right?
Right.
There is, on the little bit of satire here, something you mentioned a while ago when I said, they could win the Darwin Award. And you said, well, they kind of already have. And they really already have, because when they stand at the foot of the throne of grace, there's no protection for them there.
Oh, no. No.
There's I heard one time, well, I'm just going to hide behind the Holy Spirit. There's not going to be one there to hide behind for these folks.
No.
Okay? It's just the way it is. So, onward and upward. One of the questions I get asked all the time, what?
Are you going to do advertisements?
No, I'm not going to do the advertisement today. It's everybody that listens knows I have books out there, Tradition to Truth and God's Universe, God's Rules. And everybody out there knows that they should be going regularly to GiveGod90.com to see what's new, right?
Right.
I guess I did kind of do the advertisement there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. That was sneaky. That's also why you get to keep me straight. Every once in a while, I get questions from folks, and it's really interesting. They say, how do I know what I am supposed to be doing? And sometimes they ask this, and they say, well, how do I know how I'm supposed to be earning a living? But sometimes it goes a little further than that. Sometimes the request actually is, how do I know how I'm supposed to be living? Right? So what we look at is a couple of different things. And I'm going to start with what I hope is a few familiar passages. If you want to read Jeremiah, beginning in chapter 1, verses 1 through 9.
These are the words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah. He belonged to the family of priests who live in the town of Anathoth. The town is in the land that belongs to the tribe of Benjamin. The Lord spoke his word to Benjamin. This happened during the 13th year that Josiah, son of Ammon, was king of Judah. The Lord also spoke to Jeremiah while Joachim, son of Josiah, was king of Judah. And the Lord spoke to Jeremiah during the 11 years and 5 months Zedekiah, son of Josiah, was king of Judah. After that, the people who lived in Jerusalem were taken away as captives out of their country. God calls Jeremiah. The Lord spoke these words to me. Before I made you in your mother's womb, I chose you. Before you were born, I set you apart for special work. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Then I said, but Lord God, I don't know how to speak. I am only a boy. But the Lord said to me, don't say I'm only a boy. You must go everywhere that I send you. You must say everything I tell you to say. Don't be afraid of anyone, because I am with you. I will protect you, says the Lord. Then the Lord reached out with his hand and touched my mouth. He said to me, see, I'm putting my words in your mouth. Today I have put you in charge of nations and kingdoms. You will pull up and tear down, destroy and overflow. You will build up and plant.
Okay. Now that, of course, comes from the International Children's Bible. And it's a really, I use the term oversimplified translation. And if you're just reading to read Scripture, it's very, very good to read. Now, if you're going to study, you might want to choose something better. Well, I shouldn't say better. Better for study. Something with lots of reference material. Something that really takes you back to the as close to the original as possible, right?
Right.
Because this is really gives us a lot of information, and it's a lot of correct information. It just simply is for ease of reading. That's
Right.
why and it's made for children.
Right.
But like many adults, they have gone back and they understand at like an 8th grade level. So they're actually, the understanding is the understanding of a child. So what we look at here is Jeremiah gets a visit, right? And the Almighty says, "This is why I made you." Wouldn't that be nice if we could all have that?
Yes.
Or, barring that, wouldn't it be really, really cool if each and every one of us were born with this card and it said, when you grow up, you should do, and then just kind of fill in the blank, right?
Right.
Whatever it might be.
Right.
But we're not. That's not how we're supposed to figure things out, okay? Jeremiah didn't have an easy life because the Almighty paid him a visit and said, "I need you to do this." In fact, his life was quite tough. And people today still criticize him. They say, everything that he put out there, he never had anybody converted. Nobody did what he said they should do. How can we look at him and say he was successful? Well, he was successful because he did exactly what the Creator told him to do, right? He spoke the words that he was given. He went to places he was told to go. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. So in the eyes of the Almighty, he was a huge success.
Right.
And we look at it and think of him as a failure because we're not looking at it right. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So as we look at Jeremiah and we think about these things, it's easy to get caught up in the, he should have done this or he should have done that. But he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And it's kind of hard to find fault with that on this side of that heavenly veil, right? Let's look at another life. And I'm not going to tell you who this is right off the get-go, but I want you to grasp this from Judges 13.
There was a man named Manoah from the city of Zorah. Manoah was from the tribe of Dan. He had a wife, but she could not have children. The angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife. He said, "You have not been able to have children, but you will become pregnant and have a son. Don't drink wine or beer. Don't eat anything that is unclean. You will become pregnant and have a son. You must never cut his hair because he will be a Nazirite. He will be given to God from birth. He will begin the work of serving Israel from the power of the Philistines."
Okay. Now, this child is going to be a blessing to his parents, right? They weren't able to have him. Now you get a son. This messenger says, God's going to bless you, right?
Right.
Okay? But there's some things you need to do. You must not, as a parent, drink wine or strong drink. In this case, this translation uses beer. And by the way, after he's born, don't you ever cut his hair. He's going to be a Nazirite. There's some conditions here for this child. It seems like this child doesn't have a choice as to who he's going to be or what he's going to be like, right? If you want to read verses 24 and 25 out of chapter 13.
So the woman gave birth to a boy. She named him Samson. Samson grew, and the Lord blessed him. The Spirit of the Lord began to work in Samson. This was while he was in the city of
Which one? Oh, Maniah.
Dan. It is between the cities of
Zorah.
Zorah and Ishtal.
Okay. So, if you remember Samson, Samson was not perfect. he did not perfectly follow his instructions, did he? Samson did have a choice. And his choices, well, let's just say, carried him down the wrong road. He made the choice not to deny the Almighty completely, but let's just say he saw the choice as, you know what, that person over there, that they're really cute. I'd really like to get to know that lady better. That's putting it nicely, isn't it? Mm-hmm. He made some choices that were not in his best interest, or they did not glorify the Father. If you're thinking about these things, hopefully your mind is traveling back to Jeremiah 29:11. Now, the familiar NIV today, and I've got to say I'm not a fan of the NIV. Okay, I often call it the non-inspired version. Sometimes there's a couple places they get it right, but for the most part, it's not a good translation to read. But it's popular, and the popular translation of Jeremiah 29:11 today says, "I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for you to prosper and not harm you, plans to give you hope in the future." Now that sounds like the Almighty is laying out a predetermined set of blueprints for your life, right?
Right.
But that's not what's going on. If you look at the King James, it reads, "I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end." That's much more close to the Hebrew than the "I know the plans I have for you." What he's really saying, what the Almighty's really saying is, I have a really good idea of the direction I want you to go. And if you follow my instructions, you're going to go that direction. You're going to have peace and not disaster. And by the way, you're going to have a long life. It will be productive. It will be successful. Sounds easy, right? Not always. Not every person continues to follow those ideas. Not just like Samson. Not everybody goes down that path all the time. Samson eventually wound up, well, his lifestyle and Delilah were his downfall, right?
Right.
And he wound up, of course, bringing down the temple. Mm-hmm. Or a temple. Literally, a temple. Pushing down the walls and, of course, killing himself in the process. Throughout Scripture, we read about people making bad decisions. Look at Jacob. Jacob, he saw Rachel. And he just had to have Rachel, right? He was he was willing to give up 7 years of his life for Rachel. Mm-hmm. And he was in such this rush that he never stops to verify what he's getting. He doesn't, well, as I spent years, dealing with large animals, he kind of should have looked this gift horse in the mouth, right? He should have lifted the veil, okay? I'm just saying, but he didn't, and he gets Leah. So he goes back for another 7 years. That's 14 years of his life that I can't say wastes, but it's 14 years of his life that he spent being selfish. He spent doing it his way. Now, without Leah, there probably wouldn't be 12 tribes because, most of them came from her, right?
Right.
In fact, Leah is the one who was actually buried in their proper place. Rachel was buried kind of along the road, and she sort of falls forgotten in a sort of a way. She was Joseph's mother, and we all know the story of Joseph and Pharaoh. So there's that, she has that going for her. But the wife of promise was Leah. But Jacob couldn't see that. Jacob saw what he wanted to see. He was looking at it through what would bring him pleasure. Now, how does that help us understand what path or direction or course that we should choose? Well, the answer is going to be different for each and every one of us. But there's certain questions that we all should be asking. The first question, and this really isn't the beginning of a flow chart, okay? It's not something like that. But the first question we should probably ask when we reach that age of what do I want to do with my life, the first question we should ask is, what I'm thinking about doing going to glorify the Creator? That should be the first thing we ask. Is what I'm going to do going to bring glory to Him in some way? Now, each of us do that in our own way. It doesn't matter what profession we have. It doesn't matter... it really doesn't matter our standard in the world, whether we're rich, whether we're poor, whether we're healthy, whether we're sick. We all have the opportunity to glorify the Almighty. The other question we should ask ourselves, and I hope you ask this every day, am I following His instructions or am I going my own way? If I'm going my own way, I'm probably not going to wind up with a long, productive, successful life, right?
Right.
I'm probably going to be cut short somewhere. I'm probably going to get in trouble somehow, and it's going to take me longer to come back to do the things I should have been doing in the first place. Now, we've met people from all over the country, all over the world, all walks of life, and literally, there are people out there that we know that had every opportunity. Money was not an issue to get an education. They could have done anything they want. And a couple of them actually took advantage of an education. They entered a profession and realized they weren't good at it. Mm-hmm. They realized that it didn't matter how much money they had. Their real, true... what's the word I want to use? Their, not occupation, their true calling, their true specialty in life, and it's, there's a word that's right on the tip of my tongue that's not the right word, but I wanted to mention it. Anyway, what the Almighty's plans for them were, what His concept, what His idea, finally when they realized this and they started following His path, is amazing. One person I know, I went to school with this person, wonderful, wonderful person, straight A student, and everybody thought, well, when this person gets out of college, they're going to go places. Well, they did. And she wound up being a stay-at-home mom. Her profession was raising her family. It's that simple. That's what she did. Now, her children are old enough now to come out in the world. Hopefully, they're going to follow her example and do things, be productive members of society. There's other people we know who struggled for everything. They could have simply given up and been anything, from any lower paying blue collar job, right? But this person struggled and struggled and struggled, and excuse me. Today they are a professional. One of the people I went to school with that struggled wound up being a lawyer. There's another one who is a doctor. There's several that I know who are very, very, very successful at their employment, their professions. But only a few of them have actually been successful as a person. And there's a difference. You can be the greatest lawyer out there, but if you're not successful as a person, how are you going to be rated by your peers? How are people going to see you? You know, it's kind of like, and I hate to use this example, but it's the best example that I think of that people all around the world know. Donald Trump, before he was president of the United States, was much loved by everyone, right?
Right.
You know, it didn't matter whether it was Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. They thought he was great because he was putting black people to work in his construction sites. He was doing all kinds of good things. Oprah Winfrey years ago interviewed him and thought he was great. Even Charles Schumer commented years ago, before he got into politics, about how wonderful it was to have him as a New Yorker. And now all of a sudden they've turned on him. They hate him. He didn't change.
No.
He didn't change a bit. He's the same exact person, but they were starstruck. They thought this person, as long as they're throwing money at situations, right?
Right.
That's what they wanted. But all of a sudden now he had the authority while he was president to do things and really help people. And they didn't like it because now all of a sudden he was showing people that they could get help and they didn't need a government-sponsored help program to get that help.
That's it.
Okay? So there are people out there who are either very rich and very successful and are much loved, and there are people out there who are very rich and very successful and are much hated. Right? So what you are and who you become as a person doesn't really have anything to do with how much money you have. You can struggle and get to that place, or you can be born with it. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what country you live in, right? Because it's not a situation or a government that decides who you are.
That's right.
It's you who decide who you are. You can either be as Jeremiah puts it, a people of God, right? You can, you will be my people and I will be your God, or you don't. You can reject that. You can reject that. You know, I'm no different. There's things I'm good at that I don't like doing.
That's right.
I was doing it when we got married, right? You know, I was really, really good at working on major appliances. You know, I was accused of being able to walk into the house and just my presence would fix their problem. You know, I've had people say that. And of course it wasn't true.
No.
But, you know, that's the way they viewed it. And I hated it. I was good at it? Yeah. I was good at it.
You were good
I
at
was
it.
really good at it. But I hated it. Absolutely hated it. My profession, when I was growing up, I knew what I wanted to do. Because if it involved 4 legs and fur, I was good at that too. And I enjoyed that. When we moved back where we are, I gave that profession up. And didn't realize I was going to have this one. Which is a really weird turn of events. But anyway, you know, there are people like that in the world too. You've had jobs you really liked and you've had jobs you've really hated.
Yes.
There were things that you were good at that you didn't like.
Yes.
There are things that you really like you're not that good at.
Yes.
I won't mention sewing. That has been an ongoing joke for about 30 years now. She has an aunt who was a seamstress, and she thought she loved to sew, but to sit at a sewing machine is not your thing.
I guess not. But I want to. It doesn't work.
There's something that gets lost between the head, the heart, and the hands. And when that happens, you know you should just probably not go there, right? All right.
We're still on the sewing, aren't we?
No, not necessarily. Now, I'm not Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that someone who absolutely needs a job, okay, to feed their family, shouldn't do whatever they can do to feed their family, right? Okay, that's don't think for a second that I know that God made me to be fill in the blank, whatever it might be, but I can't do that, so I'm not going to do anything. Don't go there. That's a different conversation. Chances are, if you find yourself in that situation, it's because bad choices were either made by you or someone who had some authority over you, whether it was a parent or a teacher or an employer or government. Government makes bad decisions all the time that puts people in positions they don't need to be in. Right? And it's not just the U.S. government. It's every form of government. It doesn't matter around the world what it is. See, the thing is, if you or when you begin to live the way your Creator designed you to live, you receive the blessings from the Almighty that He wants you to have. Those blessings improve your life and the lives of the people around you. You're not born with a card that reads, "This baby will be," fill in the blank, right? You're born to live the way the Creator designed you to live, to follow His instructions, to glorify Him, to display His glory, and not just to Him, but to the people you interact with. And that, in turn, improves their life. If you can do that, it doesn't matter if you're a world leader, it doesn't matter if you're a doctor or a lawyer, teacher, mechanic, fill in the blank again. No matter what you are, if you are making sure that you're following His instructions and glorifying the Father, that is what you're called to do. A job is a job. Samson's job was to be a judge. He was a terrible judge. Jeremiah's job was to deliver a message that he was given. He was really good at it. Did either of them get the glory? No. Did either of them, do we look at either of them and think they were successful from our standpoint? No. But they were. What ideas or plans does the Creator have for you? Well, you ask Him. He'll give you an answer eventually. The answer might not be what you want to hear, but you'll eventually get it. Sometimes it seems like it takes Him a while to get back to you. Sometimes you really wonder if, are you sure that's what you want? And sometimes He takes His own sweet time, which is kind of where we are now. Eventually we know we're going to have to find another place to live.
Right.
But does that mean that we stop doing what we're doing?
No.
Probably not. I don't think, I should say it this way. There are probably hundreds of people around the world right now who would say, no, don't stop doing what you're doing. There may come a time when I joke about this. There used to be a fellow on the radio nearby at a local station who would say, high above, I'm coming to you from a deep underground bunker high above the cornfields of Sussex County. We may find ourselves in that position one of these days. We're not there yet. But even so, it's okay. We do what we do because that's what we're being told to do. It's that simple. Not for us, but to help others, to help you. And hopefully you understand that. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer for the question of what should I be? What should I do? Each person has to decide that for themselves. And as long as you begin that with, is what I think I'm about to do for the glory of the Almighty or for mine? If it's for you, you might want to rethink it. if it's for him, maybe that's where you should be going. It's okay. It's perfectly okay to ask for verification too. Gideon did that. And today we call it throwing out the fleece, right?
Right.
We have reduced it to, I'm going to throw the fleece out on this one. No. What he's looking for is verification. Is this something I want, or is this something you want? It's okay to ask for verification, because chances are you're going to get it.
Right.
Never underestimate what happens that way. If you really need help, you can always go to Give God 90. There's literally 3 30-day sections in Give God 90 where you have the opportunity to go through there and make little changes to your life every day that will bring you back to following his instructions, living the way you're designed, and improving not only your life, but the lives of the people around you. So don't forget, that is available. It's free, absolutely free. You just go there and follow along the path, and it will, in 90 days, you don't have a choice but to see an improvement in your life. Many people have done it now, and they all say the same thing. I didn't think it would work. But those little itty-bitty changes at a time. I keep saying a fellow that should weigh 150 pounds, when he wakes up one morning and he's weighing 700 pounds, he didn't happen overnight. It wasn't, nobody snapped their fingers and added that extra 550 pounds, right?
Right.
You got there a little bit at a time. Sometimes you need to come back a little bit at a time, and it'll last longer. So, if you like what you hear, if you like what we're doing, don't forget the share and like and all those good things. And hopefully that is what you're going to be doing. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, just thanks for
Okay.
letting us be with you today.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Making us happy as you join us today, or whenever you listen to this. It's available out there at your convenience as well. So if you leave a comment, I will get it eventually. Don't forget those like, love, share buttons, all that good stuff. Until next time, we wish you many, many blessings.